the $120 backyard farm that prints money every 90 days. Part 1. The hidden gold of the rice fields. What if the secret to a six-figure income wasn't in cattle or crops, but inside a tiny insect that smells like cinnamon? For centuries, farmers across Asia have searched for new ways to turn the land beneath their feet and the water around them into profit. Some raise fish, others grow rice or shrimp. But hidden beneath the surface of quiet ponds and rice paddies lives a mysterious creature that's rewriting the rules of rural success, the giant water bug. Scientifically known as Lethocerus indicus. At first glance, it doesn't look like a gold mine. It's brown, flat, and shaped like a leaf. It lives in shallow waters, clings to aquatic plants, and moves silently beneath the surface. But what makes this bug extraordinary isn't how it looks, it's what it carries. Male giant water bugs have two small oil glands under their abdomen that produce one of the rarest natural extracts on Earth, a sweet, spicy, cinnamon-like scent that chefs and perfume makers call liquid gold. Just one tiny drop of this oil can sell for $3 to $5, and a single male bug can produce several drops over its lifetime. To the untrained eye, this insect might seem like a simple pest of the rice fields. But for creative farmers, it's become a passport to prosperity, a biological factory that turns live feed and clean water into a luxury ingredient worth more than silver by weight. As natural populations have dwindled due to pollution and overharvesting, the demand for farmed giant water bugs has exploded. Restaurants across Asia compete for fresh supplies to flavor sauces and craft signature dishes. Collectors and exporters pay premium prices for their oils. And even eco-farmers in Western countries are beginning to experiment with small-scale bug farms as a sustainable source of income. So imagine this: a few tanks in your backyard, a clean water source, and a handful of these alien-looking creatures quietly breeding beneath the surface. No noisy machinery, no expensive feed, just nature doing the work, and profits growing every day. Could this exotic insect really be the next goldmine for small farmers around the world? The answer might surprise you. Part 2. Introducing the superstar, the giant water bug. Meet the unsung hero of the wetlands, a creature so alien-looking and misunderstood that most people have no idea it could transform into a small-scale fortune. This is Lethocerus indicus, better known as the giant water bug, and it's quickly earning the nickname, the lobster of the insect world. Why the comparison? Like lobsters, giant water bugs are rare, elegant in their own strange way, and highly prized in fine cuisine. They're the kind of delicacy that used to be found only in the wild, hunted by hand in muddy rice fields at night under the glow of lanterns. But today, with modern farming methods, they're becoming the centerpiece of a new agricultural revolution, insect aquaculture. From a biological standpoint, the giant water bug is a fascinating marvel of evolution. Reaching up to 5 inches, 12 centimeters, long. It's one of the largest aquatic insects on Earth. Its body is flat and leaf-shaped, camouflaged perfectly against the murky bottom of ponds and streams. Equipped with 6 sturdy legs and a pair of razor-sharp front claws. It's a stealth predator, a silent assassin that can snatch small fish, tadpoles, or shrimp in the blink of an eye. But what really sets this bug apart is its lifestyle. It doesn't crawl in the dirt like most insects, it swims, dives, and breathes through a small snorkel-like tube at the tip of its abdomen. It's an underwater hunter with the grace of a crocodile and the patience of a heron. Despite its fearsome nature, humans have found a surprisingly elegant use for it. Inside the abdomen of the male bug are 2 small sacs that produce a highly aromatic oil, an extract so unique and concentrated that just a single drop can flavor an entire dish. This is the legendary giant water bug essence, often called the liquid perfume of the rice paddies. In Thailand and Vietnam, it's an ingredient reserved for special occasions, used in luxury sauces, artisanal fish condiments, and even traditional medicine. A single drop of pure extract can sell for $70 to $100, depending on quality and origin. Imagine that, a liquid produced by an insect, worth more than most perfumes by volume. And it doesn't stop there. Each adult bug sells for around $2 to $3 in local markets, while a breeding pair can fetch $7 to $10, and an egg cluster containing 100 to 150 eggs can go for another $7 to $8. It may sound small, but when scaled up, with hundreds or even thousands of bugs, those numbers turn into serious profit. What's driving this demand? Two words: scarcity and innovation. Wild populations of giant water bugs have been disappearing due to pesticide use, habitat loss, and overharvesting. Meanwhile, restaurants and perfumers are desperate for a consistent supply. That gap has opened the door for small, creative farmers to step in, people who see not an insect, but an opportunity. Here's the best part: you don't need acres of land, heavy equipment, or expensive chemicals. You just need water, patience, and a few tanks. Think of it like raising fish, but simpler. These bugs thrive in small, shallow pools or containers that can fit right in your backyard, greenhouse, or even an indoor setup. The startup costs are incredibly low, a few $100s at most, and the returns can be remarkable. In just 3 months, a single small system can multiply its population several times over, providing not only a steady source of income but also the satisfaction of creating something sustainable, eco-friendly, and future-ready. For many rural farmers across Asia, the giant water bug has become a symbol of new generation farming: less land, more intelligence, and smarter profit. It's a model that's now inspiring micro farmers around the world, from backyard enthusiasts in the US to urban growers in Europe, all searching for creative ways to make nature pay. So, the next time you see a quiet pond or a still patch of water, imagine this: beneath that calm surface could lie the foundation of your next great business. All it takes is curiosity, courage, and a willingness to look at the smallest things with a visionary eye. Part 3. Building the dream: what you need to start. Every big success starts with something small, and in this case, that something small could fit in the corner of your backyard, your garage, or even on a balcony. You don't need acres of farmland or expensive greenhouses to get started with giant water bug farming. All you need is a little space, a few simple materials, and the willingness to try something new. Imagine this: a clean, bubbling water tank, sunlight glinting off the surface, and beneath that calm water, a tiny, self-sustaining ecosystem quietly creating income day after day. That's the magic of this model. It's the kind of project that feels both futuristic and old-fashioned: small, local, sustainable, and deeply connected to nature. Let's break down exactly what you'll need to build your first setup, what we call the starter dream. 1. The tank, your tiny aquatic farm. The heart of your operation is the tank. Think of it as a mini pond. A 4 x 4 feet, 1.2 x 1.2 meters, container is perfect for a beginner. You can use a concrete or fiberglass tank, a sturdy plastic barrel cut in half, or even a waterproof tarp frame made from wood or PVC pipes. It doesn't have to look fancy. What matters is function. The water depth should be around 10 to 12 inches, 25 to 30 centimeters. Shallow enough for the bugs to breathe at the surface but deep enough to hunt and hide. If you already have experience keeping fish or turtles, you're halfway there. The same principles apply: clean water, gentle aeration, and a little shade from direct sunlight. 2. Water, nature's foundation. The water you use is crucial. Skip the tap water. It often contains chlorine, which is toxic to insects. Instead, use rainwater, best option. Well water or filtered pond water. If you must use tap water, let it sit uncovered for 24 to 48 hours before filling your tank, so the chlorine evaporates naturally. Keep the water clean but not sterile. A few microorganisms help create a healthy micro-ecosystem for your bugs. 3. Aquatic plants, shelter and breeding space. Next, bring life to your tank. Add a few aquatic plants like water hyacinth, duckweed, or elodea. They provide shade, oxygen, and hiding spots, and most importantly, the perfect place for females to lay eggs. You can also add smooth branches or bamboo sticks that reach above the surface. In nature, female bugs climb these to attach their egg clusters. It's a small detail that makes a big difference in reproduction success. 4. Live feed, keeping your bugs fed and fierce. Giant water bugs are carnivorous. They love live prey. Their diet can include minnows or guppies, the easiest to breed, small shrimp or tadpoles, crickets, grasshoppers, or mealworms. Feeding them is surprisingly fun, like watching tiny alligators at work. They'll grab their prey with lightning speed, inject enzymes, and suck out the nutrients. It sounds wild, but it's part of what makes them grow so fast and stay healthy. If you want to save money, you can raise your own feeder fish in a small side tank. A simple 20-gallon container with a sponge filter can keep your bug feed supply steady. 5. Air and light, simple but essential. A small aerator or air pump, $10 to $15 online, will keep your water oxygenated. Bugs can breathe air through a snorkel-like tube, but oxygenated water helps keep their food sources alive longer and prevents foul odors. Keep the setup in a place with natural light but not under direct scorching sun. A shaded area or partially covered space works best. 6. The numbers. How much does it cost? Let's talk money for a moment. Starting your own giant water bug setup doesn't require much capital at all. A basic 4x4 foot tank usually costs around $40. You'll also need a small aerator or air pump to keep the water fresh and oxygenated, about $15. Add in another $10 for aquatic plants to create shade and natural breeding areas. Plus roughly $15 for your first batch of live feed such as minnows or shrimp. Finally, purchasing around 100 water bug breeders will cost about $40. Altogether, your total investment comes to approximately $120. That's enough to build a small but fully functional system capable of producing multiple generations of bugs. Within just 3 months, that modest setup can yield profits 2 to 3 times greater than your initial cost. Proving that this little backyard project can quickly turn into a surprisingly rewarding source of income. 7. Who can do this? Everyone. This is where the model shines. It's not limited to full-time farmers. In fact, some of the most successful bug farmers are students, office workers, retirees, and stay-at-home parents. Why? Because the system runs almost on autopilot once it's set up. There's no noisy machinery, no daily heavy lifting. You feed them twice a day, check the water once in a while, and let nature take care of the rest. It's quiet, eco-friendly, and oddly satisfying to watch. For college students, it's a low-risk side hustle. For retirees, it's a hobby that pays. For families, it's a learning experience that teaches kids about nature, biology, and entrepreneurship all at once. As one farmer put it, if you can raise fish, you can raise these bugs, and they'll pay better. Think about it. In a world where people are struggling to find sustainable income, here's a model that thrives on simplicity, requires almost no land, and turns a small backyard into a biological money printer. It's not just a business. It's a statement, proof that innovation doesn't always come from big machines or high-tech labs. Sometimes, it comes from paying attention to the small miracles of nature, and seeing opportunity where others see only mud and bugs. Part 4. The Science of Success, Step-by-Step Farming Process. Behind every thriving giant water bug farm is a careful balance of science, patience, and respect for nature's rhythm. These creatures are hardy, fascinating, and surprisingly easy to raise, but only if you follow a few golden rules. Let's walk through the full process, from selecting your first breeders to harvesting your final batch of liquid gold. Step 1. Choosing the right breeders. The foundation of every successful operation begins with healthy, genetically strong breeders. Never cut corners here. The quality of your initial stock determines everything that follows. Start by purchasing your bugs from a trusted supplier or an established insect farm. Avoid catching them in the wild. Not only is that risky for local ecosystems, But wild bugs may also carry diseases or parasites. A healthy giant water bug should be active, alert, and well-formed. Look for strong legs, intact wings, and a smooth, shiny exoskeleton. Their movements should be sharp and responsive. If they appear sluggish, floating sideways, or missing limbs, skip them. Those signs often indicate poor health or aging. Now, how do you tell the males from the females? It's simple once you know what to look for. Male bugs have two small white scent glands on their abdomen. These are the source of the famous aromatic oil that sells for up to $100 per drop. Females, on the other hand, are usually larger, with rounder abdomens and no scent glands. For breeding, select one male for every 2 or 3 females. This ratio encourages strong mating behavior without exhausting your males. Once paired, introduce them into a separate breeding tank, your future stock of tiny aquatic assassins. Step 2. Creating the perfect habitat. Think of this step as designing a miniature wetland, a calm, balanced ecosystem where your bugs can feed, grow, and reproduce. Tank setup. A simple 4x4 foot tank works perfectly. But any clean, shallow container will do. The water depth should be around 10 to 12 inches, 25 to 30 centimeters. Too deep, and the bugs struggle to surface for air. Too shallow, and temperature fluctuations can become dangerous. Line the bottom with a 2 to 3 inch layer of sand or fine gravel. This substrate helps stabilize the environment and provides a natural texture for your aquatic plants to anchor. Water quality. pH level 6.5-7.5, neutral to slightly acidic. Temperature 77 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. Water changes once per week, replacing about 1/4 of the old water with fresh, chlorine-free water. Always keep a small amount of old water to preserve beneficial bacteria. This helps maintain a stable microbiome and keeps your bugs healthier. Plants and oxygen. Add floating plants such as water hyacinth, duckweed, or hornwort. These not only give your bugs a place to rest and hide but also encourage natural breeding behavior. Females prefer to attach their eggs to vertical stems or leaves above the surface. Aeration. Gentle oxygenation is key. Run a small air pump 2 to 3 hours a day to keep the water clean and the oxygen level stable. Covering the tank. Here's something many beginners overlook. Giant water bugs can fly. When they're mature, they'll try to follow light sources at night. To prevent escape, cover your tank with a fine mesh net or plastic lid with small air holes. In short, keep the tank calm, clean, shaded, and stable. When the environment feels right, your bugs will start behaving like they're in their natural habitat, hunting, breeding, and thriving. Step 3. Feeding and nutrition. If there's one thing these bugs love more than still water, it's live prey. Feeding them properly is the heart of your operation. Their diet should mimic nature as closely as possible. Here's a simple rule of thumb. 60% live fish, small minnows, guppies, or tilapia fry. 30% shrimp or tadpoles. 10% insects, crickets, grasshoppers, or mealworms. Feed them twice daily, once early in the morning and again in the late afternoon. The portions should total about 10 to 15% of their total body weight each day. If you're raising 100 bugs weighing roughly 1 kilogram in total, they'll need around 100 to 150 grams of food daily. Remove any leftover prey after a few hours to prevent the water from turning foul. Polluted water leads to stress, slower growth, and even death. A pro tip for cost saving: raise your own live feed in a separate tank. A small 20-gallon container filled with minnows or shrimp can supply enough food for several months. This mini ecosystem not only cuts expenses but also ensures your bugs always get fresh, nutritious prey. When fed properly, giant water bugs grow fast. Within 3 months, they reach full size and start breeding. Their voracious appetite is your best indicator of health. If they're eating eagerly, your farm is thriving. Step 4. Breeding and egg care. Now comes the most exciting part: reproduction. In the wild, Giant water bugs breed during the summer months, May through August, when temperatures are high and the air is humid. In controlled setups, you can replicate these conditions year-round by maintaining water temperature around 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 degrees Celsius, and humidity between 70 to 80%. Once a female is ready, she'll climb above the water surface and lay her eggs on floating plants, sticks, or tank walls. Each clutch contains around 100 to 150 eggs, perfectly arranged like a miniature pearl mosaic. Here's where careful handling pays off. You can leave the eggs in the tank, but for higher success rates, most farmers remove and incubate them artificially. To do this, 1. Gently cut or lift the section of plant or surface with the egg cluster attached. 2. Place it in a small incubation box with high humidity. 3. Spray or dip the eggs in clean water once daily for 10 to 15 seconds to keep them moist. After about 10 to 12 days, tiny nymphs will hatch, small, translucent versions of their parents, but already armed with piercing jaws and hunting instincts. The young bugs will molt 5 times over the course of 40 to 45 days, growing rapidly after each stage. During this time, feed them smaller prey like mosquito larvae or tiny shrimp. Always separate different size groups. The larger ones might eat their smaller siblings. Within 2 months, your baby bugs will mature into full-grown predators, ready for the next breeding cycle or for sale. Step 5. Health and maintenance. Giant water bugs are tough creatures, but even the strongest need care. Common challenges. Cannibalism. When hungry or crowded, they attack each other. Prevent this by feeding regularly and keeping density below 70 bugs per square meter. Poor water quality. Cloudy or smelly water means trouble. Regular partial water changes and gentle aeration keep things in balance. Light attraction. These bugs are drawn to bright light. Keep your tanks in shaded areas and avoid direct artificial light at night. Pest management. Never use chemicals or pesticides. Even trace amounts of chlorine, soap, or detergent can kill them instantly. If algae or snails become an issue, simply remove them manually or introduce harmless companions like tiny snails or small filter fish to maintain water balance. A healthy bug farm smells like wet earth, fresh, natural, and clean. If the water turns foul or the bugs start floating, check your parameters immediately. Remember, in bug farming, observation is your most powerful tool. Watch their behavior. If they're calm, feeding, and clinging to plants, your system is in perfect balance. Step 6. Harvesting and storage. After around 90 days, your bugs are ready to harvest. At this point, males will have developed their signature scent glands, and females will be full-bodied and market-ready. Harvest early in the morning or late evening when they're least active. Use a soft mesh net to avoid damaging their wings or legs. Handle them gently, not just for ethical reasons, but because injured bugs lose market value. For live sales, keep them in moist mesh bags or breathable containers at around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. They can survive comfortably for several days in cool conditions without food. For frozen or preserved sales, place them in sealed boxes or styrofoam containers with ice packs at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. This keeps them fresh for up to 6 months. Oil extraction. For farmers producing bug oil, gently squeeze the male's abdominal glands to collect the precious liquid. Just 1 drop carries the deep, spicy aroma used in traditional sauces and perfumes. Store the extract in airtight glass vials, away from light and heat. It may sound unusual, but this step is where the magic happens, turning a humble water bug into one of the most valuable natural products in modern gastronomy. Raising giant water bugs is not just a science, it's an art, the art of blending ecology, economy, and patience into one living, breathing system. Once you master this cycle, you'll realize something profound. The secret to prosperity doesn't always roar or shine. Sometimes, it hums quietly beneath a film of water, waiting for the right hands to bring it to life. Part 5. Real stories. How farmers are getting rich. The real proof of any idea isn't in theory, it's in the lives it changes. Across Vietnam, a quiet revolution has begun. One pond at a time. Ordinary farmers, office workers, and even retirees are turning what was once considered a strange rural experiment into a thriving new source of income. Their stories show that you don't need vast land, high technology, or special connections. All you need is vision, and the courage to start small. Here are 3 inspiring success stories of how humble people turned giant water bugs into a pathway toward financial independence. Case 1. The backyard farmer from Ninh Binh, Tom Nguyen. Tom Nguyen never thought he'd call himself an insect farmer. A few years ago, he was an average rice farmer in Ninh Binh, struggling with rising fertilizer prices and unstable yields. Then one day, while scrolling through his phone, he stumbled upon a short video about a man earning money by raising giant water bugs in small tanks. At first, he laughed. Bugs? Who would buy those? He thought. But curiosity got the better of him. With a small loan and a few old water tanks, he decided to experiment. He bought just 2 breeding pairs and followed online tutorials to set up his first mini bug farm. Within weeks, he was hooked. The bugs were easy to care for, and they reproduced faster than I imagined. Tom recalls, "I realized this wasn't just some strange idea, it was a real business." In less than a year, he expanded from 2 tanks to 11. Each tank held around 70 to 100 bugs, producing both adults for sale and eggs for breeding. His monthly profit now averages $1 to $1.200, nearly triple what he used to earn from rice farming. Tom's secret isn't luck, it's discipline. He tracks his water parameters daily, experiments with feeding routines, and documents every breeding cycle. At first, I failed a lot, he admits. I lost whole batches because I didn't know how to control water temperature. But failure was my best teacher. Now, local farmers visit his backyard regularly to learn from his model. Tom smiles when they call him the bug whisperer. His advice to new farmers is simple yet powerful. Start small, learn fast, expand wisely. This is nature's business. If you respect it, it will reward you. Case 2. The urban farmer from Hanoi, Andy Hoang. While Tom represents the rural dream, Andy Hoang is proof that you can bring farming into the city, even into the chaos of Hanoi. Andy once worked as a technician in a water treatment company. When the pandemic hit, his work hours were cut, and he suddenly had both time and uncertainty. One night, he saw a news clip about the disappearing giant water bug population and the growing demand from restaurants for farmed ones. That sparked an idea. I already know water filtration, why not use that knowledge to create something new? He started in his apartment's courtyard with just 2 tanks. The neighbors thought he'd lost his mind. They said, "You're raising cockroaches?" Andy laughs. But after a few months, when I showed them the oil bottles worth $100 each, they started asking how to join. Andy designed a closed-loop system with 20 tanks, each equipped with custom-built filters and automatic aeration. His background in water engineering gave him an edge. He could maintain pristine water quality with minimal effort. Every 3 months, his farm produces around 2,000 adult bugs, supplying restaurants across northern Vietnam that serve specialty dishes flavored with water bug essence. Each batch earns him $2,500 to $3, and demand is growing. He's now exploring export partnerships to Thailand and Korea. But what really sets Andy apart is his innovation mindset. He breeds his own strains for stronger offspring, reduces mortality through selective feeding, and is currently experimenting with solar-powered filtration to make his operation fully sustainable. Andy's story shows that bug farming isn't limited to countryside ponds. It's a future-ready urban business model. In his words, people think innovation means robots and apps. But sometimes, innovation is just using science to make nature more productive. I didn't need a factory, I just needed water, patience, and curiosity. Case 3. The innovator from Saigon, Tony Tan. Down south in the bustling outskirts of Saigon, Tony Tan has taken bug farming to the next level. Unlike most farmers who focus on one species, Tony created a hybrid system that combines giant water bugs with live fish farming. It all started with a problem. Feeding the bugs was expensive. He says, "They eat live prey, and buying small fish every week was killing my profits." Instead of giving up, Tony decided to grow his own feed. He built a second tank filled with mollies, small tilapia, and tadpoles, which reproduce quickly. These fish not only supply constant food for his bugs but also help recycle nutrients in the water. The result? A natural, closed-loop ecosystem that's both cost-effective and environmentally friendly. His innovation reduced feed expenses by 40%, boosted breeding success, and made his setup nearly self-sufficient. Today, Tony manages 15 tanks and produces over 1,000 bugs per batch, earning $2 to $2.500 every 3 months. But Tony's vision extends beyond his own profit. He now runs weekend workshops for other aspiring farmers, teaching them how to set up affordable microsystems and avoid beginner mistakes. Many of his students are young people seeking side hustles or families who want eco-friendly income streams. Tony's farm has become a learning hub, a mix of business, community, and creativity. "I don't just sell bugs," he says, "I sell independence." He dreams of one day establishing a national network of small-scale insect farmers who can share resources, support one another, and build a sustainable industry from the ground up. His philosophy sums up the spirit behind this entire movement. They say success comes to those who wait. I disagree. Success comes to those who build their own ecosystem, just like these bugs do. The common thread. Tom, Andy, and Tony live hundreds of miles apart. But their stories carry a shared truth. They didn't wait for luck. They created their own ecosystem of prosperity. Each of them began with little more than curiosity, a few tanks, and the willingness to get their hands wet. They learned, adapted, and innovated, transforming what many dismissed as a strange idea into a practical, profitable business. They represent the new generation of farmers, people who merge science with tradition, technology with ecology, and entrepreneurship with sustainability. The beauty of the giant water bug model is that it scales both up and down. Whether you're a student in an apartment, a retiree with backyard space, or a farmer looking to diversify, this simple idea holds promise. It's not just about bugs, it's about reimagining what's possible when humans learn to collaborate with nature rather than fight it. And maybe, just maybe, these small creatures, gliding silently beneath the water's surface, are whispering a lesson to us all. True wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it buzzes softly from a tank in your backyard, waiting for you to notice. Part 6. The numbers don't lie. Profit breakdown. Numbers don't care about hype, they tell the truth. And in the world of small-scale farming, truth is measured in return on investment. What makes the giant water bug model so compelling isn't just its novelty, it's the math. When you crunch the numbers, you realize this humble insect has one of the highest profit margins of any low-cost, eco-friendly farming model in existence. Let's start with the basics. The startup reality: small capital, big potential. Starting a giant water bug farm doesn't require a fortune, just a small, smart investment. For a beginner, one tank holding about 100 adult bugs is enough to get started. The costs are surprisingly low, around $40 for the breeding stock. Another $40 for a simple 4x4-foot tank or similar container. $15 for an aerator and tubing to keep the water oxygenated. $10 for aquatic plants to provide shade and shelter. And about $15 for your first batch of live feeds such as minnows or shrimp. Altogether, that's roughly $120 to $150. About the same as a weekend grocery trip or a night out with friends. Yet from this modest setup, you can build something far greater. A small but profitable ecosystem that pays for itself within months and can continue to grow with each new cycle. It's proof that sometimes, the path to financial independence begins not with a big investment, but with a simple tank of water and a handful of determined insects. Cycle by cycle, how the money grows. The life cycle of a giant water bug, from nymph to adult, is only about 90 days under ideal conditions. That means you can complete 4 full production cycles per year. Let's say you start with 100 bugs. After 3 months, assuming a healthy reproduction rate, you can sell adult bugs at around $2.50 each, right pointing arrow $250. Egg clusters or young bugs for breeding, right pointing arrow $100 plus. Essential oil from mature males, a few drops per bug. Sold to restaurants or perfume makers, right pointing arrow $50 to $100. Total gross income per cycle, approximately $400 $450. After deducting feed and maintenance costs, around $60.80, your net profit per 3-month cycle is roughly $300 $350. That's an ROI of 200 to 250% every quarter, or 800 to 1.000% annually if you continuously reinvest in expansion. Few legitimate farming ventures can compete with those numbers on such a small scale. Scaling up, the power of multiplication. Here's where it gets interesting. The giant water bug model scales beautifully. Each additional tank you add multiplies your earning potential without dramatically increasing your workload. 1 tank, 100 bugs. Right pointing arrow $350 profit every 3 months. 5 tanks, 500 bugs. Right pointing arrow $1.750 profit every 3 months. 10 tanks, 1.000 bugs. Right pointing arrow $3.500 profit every 3 months. Since the bugs require minimal space and upkeep, scaling from 1 to 10 tanks doesn't mean 10 times more work, just smarter system design. With proper aeration and feeding schedules, a single person can easily manage 1.000 to 1.500 bugs without stress. Think about it. With a small backyard or a 200 square foot shed, you could earn as much as a full-time salary doing something that's nearly silent, clean, and low risk. How it stacks up against other models. Compared to other small-scale farming models, the giant water bug system stands out for its simplicity, speed, and efficiency. Take tilapia, for instance. It requires heavy water filtration, higher feed costs, and takes 4 to 5 months before you can harvest, all for a return of around 30 to 40%. Frog farming is similar. It needs more space, careful temperature control, and about 6 months per cycle, with profits rarely exceeding 70%. Shrimp farming may sound lucrative, but it's far more demanding. The startup cost can reach $500. And maintaining stable water conditions, feed supply, and disease prevention can quickly eat into your earnings. In contrast, raising giant water bugs is refreshingly straightforward. The startup cost is usually only around $120 to $150. A full cycle takes just 3 months, and the return on investment often reaches 200 to 250%, several times higher than most traditional small animal ventures. It needs minimal space, very little maintenance, and virtually no advanced equipment. When you look at the numbers, the difference is clear. Where fish and shrimp farming struggle under rising costs, the giant water bug thrives quietly, turning a tiny corner of water into a consistent source of income. Sustainability meets profitability. Unlike traditional livestock or aquaculture systems, bug farming leaves a negligible environmental footprint. There's no chemical runoff, no antibiotic waste, and almost zero carbon emissions. The feed-to-product ratio is also incredibly efficient. 1 pound of live prey or insects can yield nearly the same biomass in bug production. Compare that to fish or poultry, which need several pounds of feed per pound of body weight. Giant water bugs thrive in recycled or filtered water systems, making them a perfect fit for the growing trend of urban eco-farming. Their waste even nourishes aquatic plants, which can be used for composting or decorative ponds. It's a true circular economy in miniature form. More tanks equals more income, the golden formula. The most successful bug farmers understand one rule: replicate. Don't complicate. Once you've mastered 1 tank, Simply repeat the setup. Every new tank is another income stream. For those looking to scale beyond hobby level, you can easily turn your system into a modular farm, a series of 4x4-foot tanks lined in rows under a greenhouse or shaded roof. Each tank costs roughly $40 - 50 to build, so expanding from 1 to 10 tanks might cost you around $400 to $500. But that expansion could bring in an extra $3 - 4.000 in profit every quarter. That's a payback period of just one cycle, nearly unheard of in agriculture. The US and global version, a future-ready model. For Western audiences, this isn't just an exotic side hustle, it's an emerging micro-farming revolution. Hobbyists and entrepreneurs across the US and Europe are starting to replicate Asian insect models in indoor aquaponic systems. Imagine a small, temperature-controlled tank setup in your garage or basement. With minimal water use and no odor, you can raise and breed bugs year-round using natural feed from backyard ponds or inexpensive insect larvae. Eco-startups are already exploring giant water bugs as a sustainable protein source, a culinary delicacy, and even a perfume ingredient. The demand for natural, ethical, and low-footprint farming products is exploding, especially among eco-conscious consumers. If you can set up a small indoor aquaponic system, something as simple as a 50-gallon container with a filter and LED grow light, you could replicate the same Vietnamese backyard model in any American suburb or European city. The takeaway: a tiny business with big numbers. When people first hear bug farming, they laugh, but when they see the spreadsheets, they stop laughing. A $120 setup that can produce $400 per cycle isn't a gimmick, it's a financial blueprint for independence. It's scalable, sustainable, and shockingly efficient. The giant water bug might not look glamorous, but beneath its wings lies one of the smartest low-investment, high-return opportunities of the decade. And the farmers who recognize that now, who choose to act rather than wait, will be the ones leading the next generation of eco-entrepreneurs. Because in the end, the math doesn't lie. More tanks, more bugs, more income. Part 7. The bigger picture: why this matters. At first glance, raising water bugs might sound like a quirky side project, a rural curiosity or an odd business experiment. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, it becomes something far more profound, a story about sustainability, empowerment, and human creativity. The giant water bug isn't just a source of income, it's a symbol of how innovation and respect for nature can coexist, turning even the humblest creatures into catalysts for change. A new chapter for the environment. One of the greatest strengths of this model is its harmony with nature. Unlike industrial farming or commercial aquaculture, giant water bug cultivation doesn't destroy ecosystems, it helps restore them. These bugs thrive in clean, balanced water systems. Farmers who raise them are naturally motivated to maintain healthy ponds, recycle water, and avoid harmful chemicals. Every successful bug tank becomes a tiny restored wetland, filled with aquatic plants, clean oxygenated water, and living organisms that support one another. In many rural areas, stagnant or polluted ponds used to be symbols of waste and decay. Now, they're being transformed into productive micro-ecosystems. The bugs feed on live prey such as small fish and tadpoles, which can be bred right in the same water, creating a self-sustaining food chain. Instead of depleting natural resources, this system regenerates them, the perfect example of circular, low-impact farming. And as the world looks for sustainable sources of protein, insects are emerging as one of the most eco-friendly answers. Compared to livestock, water bugs require almost no land, emit no methane, and use a fraction of the feed and water. Each pound of bug biomass takes only a small percentage of the input needed to raise chicken or fish. In a warming world where sustainability isn't optional but essential, these small tanks represent a quiet revolution, one that starts not in high-tech labs, but in ordinary backyards. Empowering people, revitalizing communities. Beyond the environmental story lies a powerful economic one. Bug farming is not just green, it's accessible. It's a model built for inclusivity, where anyone with curiosity and effort can participate. For rural families, this means opportunity without migration. Instead of leaving their villages to search for unstable jobs in big cities, people can now generate steady income right at home. For women, it's a flexible business they can manage while caring for children or aging parents. For young people, it's a path to entrepreneurship without huge capital or college degrees. In Vietnam, Thailand, and parts of India, the bug farming model has already begun to revitalize rural communities. Families who once depended solely on rice or fish are diversifying their income, making them more resilient against market shocks and weather changes. For the first time, a sustainable business model is giving rural populations a reason to stay, to build, not to leave. Imagine what this could mean if expanded globally. Rural youth in Africa or South America turning abandoned ponds into profitable eco-farms. Women in Southeast Asia leading small cooperatives that produce high-value bug oil for export. Or American micro-farmers integrating insect tanks into aquaponic systems for urban food production. The social impact could ripple across continents. Turning pests into profits, a new way of thinking. There's something deeply poetic about the idea of turning a so-called pest into a profit engine. For decades, insects have been treated as nuisances, creatures to exterminate, not appreciate. Yet here they are, teaching us one of the most important lessons of the modern era. Innovation begins when we change how we see the world. The giant water bug reminds us that progress doesn't always come from complex technology or massive infrastructure. Sometimes, it's about looking closer at what's already around us, in the mud, in the ponds, in the overlooked corners of nature, and realizing that potential is everywhere. These bugs are more than insects, they're metaphors for resilience. They survive in the harshest environments, adapt to changing conditions, and transform waste into life. When farmers learn to nurture them, they're not just creating income, they're embodying the same resilience in their own lives. A global opportunity waiting to emerge. The commercial potential of this model is already extending beyond borders. The culinary world has begun to rediscover the unique flavor of giant water bug essence, a natural oil prized for its deep, spicy aroma that chefs describe as a mix of cinnamon, citrus, and nutmeg. High-end restaurants in Bangkok, Hanoi, and Tokyo are using it as a premium ingredient, while perfumers experiment with it as a rare organic fragrance base. With proper regulation and export partnerships, small farmers could tap into a growing international market worth millions. What was once a local curiosity could soon become an eco-luxury export, a sustainable product representing craftsmanship, biodiversity, and environmental care. From muddy ponds to perfume bottles in Paris, the journey of the giant water bug is proof of how far innovation can travel when it's rooted in balance. It's not just about farming, it's about reimagining value itself. And in a time when the planet faces both economic inequality and ecological collapse, that reimagination might be exactly what the world needs. Part 8. Expert Tips and Common Mistakes. Raising giant water bugs may sound easy, and it is. But the difference between a good farmer and a great one comes down to details. The best bug farmers aren't just caretakers, they're observers. They understand that these creatures, like all living things, communicate through behavior. If you know what to look for, your bugs will tell you everything about the health of your system. Here are the golden rules on the hidden traps every successful water bug farmer should know. Always keep the tanks covered. This is rule number 1. And it's non-negotiable. Giant water bugs can fly, and they're attracted to light at night. Many beginners lose half their stock in a single evening because they left their tanks uncovered under a bright bulb or near a window. The solution is simple. Use a fine mesh net or a light plastic lid with small air holes. This allows ventilation while keeping your bugs safe and contained. If you have outdoor tanks, avoid placing them near strong lights or reflective surfaces that can confuse the bugs and trigger their flight instinct. A covered tank doesn't just prevent escapes, it also keeps out predators like frogs, snakes, and birds that see your setup as a convenient buffet. Feed consistently, or they'll feed on each other. Giant water bugs are carnivorous hunters by nature. When food runs short, their instincts take over, and they'll turn on one another. Cannibalism is the #1 cause of loss among beginner farmers. To prevent this, always maintain a steady supply of live feed. It doesn't have to be fancy. Small fish, tadpoles, or crickets are perfect. Feed twice a day, ideally in the morning and late afternoon, when the bugs are most active. If you plan to scale up, raise a separate tank of feeder fish or shrimp to create your own sustainable food source. It's cheaper, fresher, and ensures your bugs never go hungry. Remember, a well-fed bug is a calm, fast-growing bug. Change 20 to 30% of water every week. Clean water is life. Even the best feeding schedule won't matter if your water turns foul. The bugs are sensitive to ammonia buildup and low oxygen levels, which can suffocate them overnight. The fix is easy. Replace about 1/4 to 1/3 of your tank's water each week with clean, chlorine-free water. Don't empty it completely. Always leave some old water to preserve beneficial microorganisms that help stabilize your tank's ecosystem. You'll notice the difference immediately. Healthy water is clear with a slight earthy smell. If it's cloudy, greenish, or smells bad, act fast. Replace more water. Check your aeration, and remove any uneaten food. Never use tap water with chlorine. It's a small mistake that can cause huge losses. Many people fill their tanks straight from the faucet, not realizing that chlorine and other disinfectants are deadly to aquatic insects. Just a few drops can wipe out your entire batch overnight. If tap water is your only option, let it sit uncovered for 24 to 48 hours before use so the chlorine can evaporate naturally. Alternatively, use a simple water conditioner, sold in aquarium shops, to neutralize harmful chemicals instantly. Rainwater, well water, or naturally filtered pond water is always the best choice. Don't overcrowd your tanks. In bug farming, more isn't always better. Overcrowding leads to stress, disease, and slower growth. Stick to a density of about 60 to 70 bugs per square meter for breeding tanks and slightly fewer for commercial production. A crowded environment doesn't just increase aggression, it also reduces oxygen levels and makes cleaning more difficult. If you notice frequent fights, damaged wings, or lethargy, you're likely housing too many bugs in one space. Give them room to move, hide, and hunt naturally. A calm, spacious environment produces healthier, more valuable adults. The pro tip that separates experts from beginners. Your best diagnostic tool isn't a thermometer or pH meter, it's your own eyes. Watch how your bugs behave. If they're swimming actively, clinging to plants, and diving for prey, everything's fine. If they float on the surface for too long, stop feeding, or move sluggishly, it's your system's way of waving a red flag. Something's off, maybe the water quality, temperature, or oxygen level. Fix it fast. As one experienced farmer put it, your bug's behavior is your best sensor. If they float, something's wrong. Once you learn to read those signals, you'll never lose a crop again. These golden habits may seem simple, but they're what turn small backyard setups into thriving, reliable businesses. Master them, and you'll discover that raising giant water bugs isn't just a trade, it's a rhythm. A conversation with nature that rewards patience, attention, and care. Part 9. The Roadmap for Beginners. Every success story begins with a single tank, a small experiment that turns into something much bigger. If you've made it this far, you already understand the potential of giant water bug farming. But before you dive in headfirst, let's map out a clear, realistic path from beginner to profitable farmer. Step 1. Start small. Learn fast. Begin with just 1 or 2 tanks. This is your training ground, a place to observe, experiment, and make mistakes without major losses. Focus on understanding the breeding cycle, how long it takes for eggs to hatch, how the nymphs grow, and what conditions lead to the highest survival rate. The first 3 months should be all about learning, not maximizing profit. Treat it like a living classroom. Keep notes on water temperature, feeding habits, and behavior changes. Take photos and videos. Every observation you make will help you scale more confidently later. Once you've successfully completed one full breeding cycle and harvested your first batch, add a few more tanks. The beauty of this system is how smoothly it scales, from a corner of your backyard to a small family business in just a few cycles. Step 2. Build smart partnerships. As your production grows, your next step is to find reliable buyers. The key is to think beyond selling raw bugs. Giant water bugs have multiple markets, and each one has its own potential. Restaurants are your most obvious partners. Many Asian or fusion eateries use the bug's extract as a rare flavoring. Approach chefs directly, bring samples, and explain the farming process. They love authenticity, and they'll love your story even more if you can show photos or videos from your farm. Perfumers and natural product makers may also be interested in the bug's aromatic oil. A few drops of this essence can enhance specialty fragrances or natural scent products. This is a small but high-value niche. Local markets and educational programs can also be excellent outlets. Sell live or preserved bugs to schools, museums, or eco-farms interested in insect biodiversity and sustainable farming. The trick is to build long-term relationships, not just one-time sales. Offer consistency and transparency. Your reliability will be worth more than any price tag. Step 3. Tell your story, and let the world see it. In today's world, visibility equals opportunity. Use social media to showcase your journey. Record short videos of feeding time, hatching eggs, or harvesting oil. Post before and after photos of your setup. Viewers love novelty, and few things are as eye-catching as an insect that smells like cinnamon and sells for more than perfume. Share your daily routine on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook. You'll be surprised how many people will follow your story, some out of curiosity, others because they want to learn. As one successful farmer said, "If you can tell your story, you can sell your product." By sharing your progress, you don't just market your business, you build a brand. Over time, your farm becomes more than a source of income, it becomes an example of innovation, independence, and environmental harmony. Step 4. Expand with purpose. Once you've mastered the basics and found a steady market, it's time to scale. Add more tanks gradually, reinvest your profits, and streamline your feeding and maintenance routines. Keep your focus on sustainability, clean water, healthy stock, and ethical practices. Every tank you add is not just another income source but another contribution to a greener future. From a single experiment to a thriving enterprise, this roadmap isn't just about farming bugs. It's about building freedom, one drop of liquid gold at a time. From pond to profit, from bug to brand, this is more than just a business idea. It's a new way of thinking about nature, innovation, and financial freedom. The giant water bug may be small, but it represents something much bigger, the power of turning curiosity into creation, and creation into income. You've seen how a handful of bugs in a single tank can grow into a thriving ecosystem of opportunity. You've met the farmers who started with almost nothing, a few containers, some clean water, and a dream, and built real, sustainable livelihoods. You've learned how this model not only supports the environment but also empowers people to stay in their communities, provide for their families, and take pride in their work. Now the question is simple: what will you do with this knowledge? Maybe you have an unused corner in your backyard, a few spare hours each day, or just a hunger to start something meaningful. That's all it takes. The path to independence doesn't always begin with big investments or complicated technology. Sometimes it begins with something as humble as a pond and the courage to see potential where others see mud. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try building one tank. See how the ecosystem develops. Watch your bugs grow, feed, and multiply. Document your journey, share it online, and inspire others to do the same. The beauty of this model is that it grows not just through water and sunlight, but through community, through shared ideas, through people like you daring to take the first step. So, if this story has sparked your imagination, let it also ignite your action. Start small, learn fast, and build something that reflects your vision. And as you begin your journey, remember, You're not alone. Join a global network of modern farmers, dreamers, and innovators who are redefining what success looks like, one sustainable idea at a time. Subscribe to the Farmer's Alley for more hidden profit farming models, untold success stories, and practical guides that transform simple ideas into real financial freedom. Because the next great farming revolution won't come from corporations, it'll come from people like you. Standing beside a small pond, daring to believe that nature still has secrets worth discovering.